So it's Wednesday, the 16th of April, and today the landmark court ruling, which we've been following for, I think, a couple of months now. We've seen it mentioned here and there in the news, has finally came to light. So today, as I think we kind of suspected happening, the Supreme Court in the UK have ruled that trans women are not women.
I was kind of hoping that it wouldn't go this way, but I was being naive and stupid.
Yeah, I too was hoping it wouldn't go this way, but they don't call us Turf Island for nothing, sadly. Yeah, so it really is a big disappointment there. I've seen a lot of my friends online worried about this particularly. A lot of trans creators there personally worried about what this means for their lives. And I think really at this stage, it's hard to know exactly how deep this will go, how many issues it will cause for all of us. But what we do know is it will have huge implications either way. It will have a lot of effects either way, sadly. It's a bit messy right now, isn't it, there? Because we don't fully know exactly what it is going to affect and how so at this stage.
It depends on what legal proceedings are going to be taken by gender critical movements to take away our rights. Predominantly trans women's rights.
Yeah.
It depends how many court cases they launch, where they go for first as an attack strategy, and how we can counter it, because in a lot of cases we're going to be in courtrooms fighting legal matters.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because it doesn't mean a great deal right now. You need to remember, this all started back in, I think it was 2022, when the Scottish government wanted to increase their quotas for women in public offices, and it then sprouted an argument about whether trans women, specifically with gender recognition certificates, would be included in those quotas. And it's been appealed and argued all the way up to the Supreme Court by some gender critical groups. And now it was 5 judges who were mainly focusing, I believe, on discrimination on pregnancy to imply that sex must mean biological sex, ergo from that a woman must be a biological woman, ergo cisgender rather than trans. So that's how this has all came to light. But at this moment in time, it doesn't necessarily mean that, we're not allowed to use female restrooms if you're a trans woman, or if you're a trans man, that you can't use male restrooms. That's really down to precedents needing to take place there. So organisations deciding or choosing to exclude trans, what they weren't able to get away with previously. And then again, as you just said, all taking it to courtrooms there to then be argued. The government right now thinks that this argument there, this ruling has caused clarity and confidence. But I think they're going to quickly find out when all of these messy court proceedings happen there, when trans women, because it's going to focus on trans women mainly, are being excluded from toilets all of a sudden, changing facilities in sports clubs and so many other things. And all of these court cases happen, and we don't know which way is up or anything like that at all, that it's not going to be so messy. So it's really up to the government to really address what this does mean, what it means in terms of appointing, getting a gender recognition certificate, which is something I've been trying to research today, really. And if you want to update your birth certificate maybe, and make sure, you can get married as, a woman now as a Mrs. rather than a Mr. or whatever, that's still something that could be worth doing. But this government, they said they were supposed to make the legal gender changing process simpler, and it's almost like they've now just ruled that it can't be changed at all. And if you have a gender recognition certificate, then it's just a waste of £6.
So the Labour government did run on a manifesto push to make the GRC easier to get to grips with and easier to change your gender markers. But it doesn't look like they're going to do that anymore. And as Mabel says, they have clarity and confidence in the Supreme Court ruling. And so the chances of them changing the legislation or amending it so that it clarifies the position of trans women, predominantly trans women, because that's who are being attacked, it doesn't look like they're going to do that. They have the time to do it, but it doesn't look like they're going to do it.
No.
So we're kind of stuck in a situation where some charities and some organisations and pressure groups around the trans community are going to have to spend a lot of money taking this all through the courts. And it is going to be extremely messy. And you're going to be in a position where in one situation in a leisure centre or a shopping precinct, you can use the toilets that you sign with your gender. In other places, you won't be able to. And you could, in theory, be nicked for it.
Yeah, no, and that's a big worry there, but especially with a lot of trans people, because we don't know whether we're supposed to just imply now that we're not allowed to live, essentially, that we're not allowed to go out in public and have to use public facilities like toilets if we think we are going to get arrested. And it really is such a messy situation. So for all of my trans siblings out there listening, we really are sorry as Trans Pride Southampton that this has happened, but we are still here for you. There is some action that we can all take collectively, not just the trans community, but the wider queer community, our allies, our friends and family members, that we can all do for support now to help each other. So the trade unions are going to be a major battleground right now to fight for this. We need to look at our education unions to support trans students. We need to, if you're a shop worker, you need to make sure you're in line with your shop unions there, so USDOR and other such unions there, to make sure that you're allowing trans people into toilet facilities there. We need to make sure that, again, doctor and nurses unions, that they're making sure that trans people aren't being taken to, if you're a trans woman, to a men's ward, or a trans man to a women's ward. These are all things that we need to fight for. By all means, do speak to your local MPs as well there. You might have more luck if they're a Labour MP because they're the current government, but it's hard to say really, but it's worth talking to them as well there. There may well be some publications about both national and regional protests that could be starting soon about this. And I think we really just need to keep an eye out on the way things go and the way companies and organisations implicate this, to see if maybe we are going to be organising some protests against certain organisations, shopping centres or such, and sit-ins, depending on how this all goes now. It really is worrying and a stressful time for all of us. But as Trans Pride Southampton, we are going to be there for you and we're going to fight for you so we can get through all of this together.
So the time starts now. So it starts now. We've got to get active now. It could be a situation where it's a rolling number of protests, all melding into one. If you can get active and you want to get your head above the parapet, please come and join us and speak out if you can. We need all the allies and voices we can get. As I've said in a previous video, the queer community makes up 10% of the population in Southampton. Imagine the power we could have if we all took to the streets in one mass protest in Southampton. Or if a shopping centre or a leisure centre did ban trans women from the public toilets. We did a sit-in.
These are things that we're going to be seeing happening if by all means you're a trans person local to Southampton and all of a sudden a shopping centre or a restaurant does exclude you. They do try and stop you from using. So if you're a woman, the women's facilities, vice versa, or cause any issues being a non-binary person, please do let us know and the wider Southampton community groups know about these issues, so we can be there for each other and so we can demonstrate effectively. Like you've said there could well be multiple protests, both regionally and nationally, that are going to be carrying out soon for trans people to defend ourselves about this there.
And that's what Trans Pride is for. It's a political event. It is a protest. It is a galvanisation of solidarity of the trans community in one mass movement. If we can do that constantly, if we can get the 42,000 that turned up in Brighton last year or the 55,000 that turned up in London, think what moves we could make.
Absolutely. We might be a very small group. We might only be 1% of the community. But when we stick together, when we have each other's backs, when we get our allies involved too, and when we take to the streets, we are powerful and we will save ourselves from these issues there. But we need to stay together and fight together to be able to do that.
Solidarity, everybody.
Solidarity.